133 pounds. It's Caden Rooks, 9-8 on the season, the grad student from Columbus, Indiana, going against Blake Borman, 16-4 on the year, redshirt sophomore from Evansville, Indiana. A series between these two that dates all the way back to 1927. It's the 12th meeting between these two. Indiana leads all time 9-2. Indiana won the first 8 matches of this series. They're 5-1 against the Mocs in Wilkinson Hall. Chattanooga's last win came in 2022 here in Bloomington in February, where they won 21-15. It was the second in a win streak of 2 after a 26-10 win over the Hoosiers in 2020. Hot start for Indiana with the pin from Blaine Frazier at 125, and now Indiana looking to increase their lead. Mocs looking to respond with one of their higher-ranked guys, one of their best pound-for-pound guys that they have in this lineup, Luke.
I would argue that Blake Borman is their premier guy just due to consistency. You know, he's just a sophomore from Evansville, actually. But, you know, this mock, he is the guy that Kyle Rochelle is going to want after, you know, losing the first bout by fall. He can get them back on the board. However, it's going to be no easy task. I talked about it in the open. This is the weight class to look out for.
Peek through position for Rooks. He's got to pop his head out, doing a great job there. There it is. Now he's just got to circle around Borman, trying to hang onto the leg as much as possible. Rooks gets around, and they do give him the takedown. Big takedown for the grad student here in the first period.
That's huge for Rooks. You know, a little bit of an underdog, surprisingly, in this bout, at least in my opinion. To get on the board early, that's back-to-back bouts. Indiana the first to get the 3 on the takedown.
Borman gets the quick escape. We're halfway through period 1. Borman 13-2 in duels this season, 5-2 in conference. Leads the team in Tech Falls with 11 bonus point victories for the redshirt sophomore. Rooks in on a single leg once again underneath the heavy hips of Borman. Rooks just explodes up, trying to double off on the edge. And they call him out of bounds. No, they don't. They do award the takedown. It looked like the official called him out of bounds for a second. He determined they're still in, and Rooks, 2 takedowns with a minute left in the first period.
Talked to Angel Escobedo. He said effort was the issue in the loss to Northwestern. They fell by 1 point. How about these first 2 bouts from the Hoosiers? Doesn't look like effort is an issue early on in the first period with Caden Rooks.
5 takedowns for the Hoosiers in the first 2 bouts so far between these two, and they've all come in the first period. Caden Rooks 3-5 in duels this season. He's 2-3 Big Ten duels, 3rd at the Battle of the Citadel, 7th at the Keystone Classic. Got an 11-2 win over Jacob Makatange of Purdue. A 19-3 Tech fall against Andy Hampton of Michigan State, and Indiana's incredible and immaculate comeback win here in Wilkinson Hall over the Spartans.
So Riley, when we talked about Caden Rooks, a little bit of like a disappointing season, 9-8 overall, 3-5 in duels. It's interesting to note that this is his first season competing at 133 since, you know, the 2019-2020 season.
That was a beautiful slide by Rooks. Borman, great job on the recovery. Now he's got the single leg, shelving it up. Great wizard defense from Rooks.
Coach Rochelle was pumped up about that.
It was Rooks that was in deep. Borman trying to score, looking for the mat return. Trips Rooks forward, Rooks goes Granby roll, and Borman able to keep his hips with Rooks, and he gets the takedown and answers. Big takedown for the Mock with short time.
Absolutely. To beat the buzzer at the end of the first period, that was enormous for Borman because, like I said, this is a talented wrestler, and Rooks looked to be in complete control.
You take a look at the last 3 dual meets for this Hoosier squad. They're just searching for any kind of momentum heading into the Big Ten tournament and NCAA tournament, Luke.
Yeah, granted, Riley, those first 2 top 7 teams in the country. The one at Northwestern did sting because it was the 3rd loss in a row. And, you know, Coach Escobedo would tell you they should have had that one. They could have had that one. But, you know, you got to keep your foot on the gas and only look forward now.
Yeah, and it was one that Angel Escobedo was talking to us about how that could have been their 4th Big Ten win of the year, and it would have been something that they hadn't done in a long, long time, but nonetheless, they fall just 1 point short. It was bonus points that ended up pushing the Wildcats over the Hoosiers in that matchup as Rooks gets out. It's a 7-5 match. Indiana up 6-0. Yeah, the 1-point difference was the pin at 157. Trevor Chumley coming in clutch for Northwestern, and that was the tiny little bit that edged the Wildcats over the Hoosiers, because it was 2-2 in terms of bonus point victories.
Yeah, absolutely. Those bonus point victories, especially in those conference duels, I mean, picking up 6 in one weight class is unbelievable, and that hurt the Hoosiers. A lot of hand fighting going on here.
1 minute left in period 2. Brooks goes single leg on the edge, and they travel out of bounds.
Now, if you're the Mocs and you want to come into a Big Ten wrestling room in an environment like this and pull off somewhat of an upset, you're going to have this one, Riley. I'll put it that way.
Borman goes single leg off the whistle, trying to elevate Rooks. He has him up. Can he finish? Plants Rooks to the mat, goes behind the back, trips Rooks forward and gets the takedown. So after giving up 2 takedowns in the first period, Borman responds with a couple takedowns of his own, and now he's up 8-7.
Yeah, he's really fought his way back into this. And, you know, he's still inside the line right now with that right foot. And it looks like Rooks is extremely gassed. They're going to line him back up in the middle. However, for Caden Rooks, it's about putting together 3 complete periods, Riley. You know, the hot start, but those first 30 seconds are now irrelevant as he trails by 1 and is going to have to get up if we want to be even at 8-8.
It's what he's going to have to do in the Xfinity Center on March 9th and 10th. And again on March 21st through the 23rd at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri. Big Tens and NCAAs. Rooks gets the escape. We're tied 8-8. Points not a premium in this one.
Yeah, Riley, final 6 seconds here. Let's see if either of these guys make a move.
It's Borman that does make a move. And on an attack, drives around, nothing called.
Wow.
Man, see the recovery on the hips of Rooks, and here comes the challenge brick from Coach Rochelle.
That was a no hesitation brick from Kyle Rochelle. That entire bench thought that Borman had it. We'll see what the scores table says, Riley, but an entertaining first 2 periods. This one's going to be the first bout to go, you know, into the third. I'm not going to say the distance, but after a quick first one, these 2 guys, you can really show they're at least making me look good, saying it was one of the most exciting bouts to look out for of the night. But 133, 2 studs out there right now.
We talked about it a lot through this week about what your match of the night was going to be, and you were adamant about picking 133. I should have trusted you, and I will own up to that. Great job putting the what is it, the rose-colored glasses on, or like the ball, like the looking into the future.
Crystal ball.
The crystal ball. Yeah, you're a fortune teller.
There we go. I mean, it was always going to be 141. We talked about that a lot, but no Dan Fungaro for this Indiana team. You know, he's had a heck of a year, the transfer from Columbia, and we got word that he is healthy. There's nothing wrong, so don't worry about him if you're an IU fan, but he has a lot to prove come tournament time, and they're like, hey, we don't want to risk anything.
Here's the call. No takedown called for Borman. That's a big blow for the Mocs, Luke, because if there's any more controversial calls, they have now lost their challenge brick, so they can no longer challenge for the rest of this dual meet.
Yeah, Coach Rochelle did not, you know, ask any of the rest of the coaching staff what they thought. He tossed that thing out, like I said, no hesitation at all. That's going to come back to bite him. However, doesn't get much bigger than this. 8-8, all squares. We head into the final 2 minutes.
He's definitely lobbying for one of his best wrestlers on the team. Borman, Poe, and Monroe, top 3 dual meet scores for this team. Borman has scored 59 dual meet points for the Mocs. Borman gets the quick escape. Right time, not a factor. But he is up 9-8 over Caden Rooks in what should be an exciting third period of action.
Riley, something to note. Caden Rooks, we're now into the third period of this one. He had 2 takedowns in the first. Did not have a takedown in the second.
Rooks goes with the underhook on the far side, trying to dig it in on the other side as well. Tell you what, these 133s, these lighter weights, Luke, they're so fun to watch. They're so explosive. They're so quick and powerful. They pack a lot of a punch, even though they are a bit smaller in terms of a weight perspective.
I mean, it's unbelievable how well, you know, these guys can get every single ounce of strength involved while still staying so agile and, you know, at the end of the day, sounding thin at 133. But boy, they fill up the singlets.
Borman has got wins this season over Tyler Knox of Stanford, Nasir Bailey of Little Rock. Got a pin in the second period over number 23 ranked Ethan Oakley of App State. Lost a couple close ones this season. Just taking a big step up from where he was last year, only 6-5, 1-1 in duels. He wrestled back and forth between 133 and 141. He solidified himself as one of the best mocks in this lineup. 30 seconds left, Rooks down by 1. Borman trying to guard that 1-point lead.
Riley, something's got to happen here if you're Caden Rooks. He has to score. 20 seconds remain. It's senior night. He wants this more than anybody.
Rooks pushing Borman to the edge.
Crowd wants stalling.
And they will get the warning for stalling, but with 10 seconds left, Borman can just chill out on the edge. 5 seconds left. Rooks pushing the pace. We go out of bounds with 2 seconds left.
Wow. The fact that Blake Borman is well on his way to holding on to this one, which he does, unbelievable.
9-8. A gutsy performance from Borman. Rooks collects the legs. I think he ran out of time. They're going to rule it no takedown, and Borman hangs on at 133 and answers for the Mocs.
That's why you don't only wrestle the first 2 minutes, Mr. Woodall. Tough if you're Caden Rooks, because he came out, firing 2 takedowns in the first. However, you got to wrestle all 6 minutes against an opponent like Blake Borman. That's why he's ranked, and he improves to 14. This guy's not a force to be reckoned with in the Southern Conference. He's a force to be reckoned with in all of NCAA wrestling, Riley.
So Indiana jumped in front and won the first match by pin. Chattanooga's won the last 2. Graham Rooks coming out for the Hoosiers, trying to stop the bleeding. It's Rooks, the graduate student from Columbus, Indiana, 15-8 on the season, going against Matthew Williams, the junior from Fairplay, South Carolina, 3-8 on the season for the junior.
Okay, after the bonus point win, Indiana now finds themselves behind in the team scoring. When we talk to Angel Escobedo, he says the guys that he can rely on the most all year, Graham Rooks, Brayton Lee, Tyler Lillard, DJ Washington. We're going to see those guys coming up in these next weight classes. This is when Indiana is going to win if they're going to make a move.
Rooks in on an attack, peek through position. Williams content to just hang out on the back of Rooks. Rooks trying to score that. Stalemate called.
Riley, this one, I would say Graham Rooks is a huge favorite. I think they're looking for bonus points out of their graduate senior on senior night.
Rooks, who is coming off a 2-1 decision over Aiden Vandenbush of Northwestern. 5-6 in duels this season. First of the battle, the Citadel, 3-4 versus ranked opponents. Got 4 Big Ten dual meet wins. First of the Southern Scuffle with wins over Noah Castillo of Chattanooga, who won 2-1 in the semis, and beat Cody Bond of App State in the championship. Been interesting to see some of the crossover with some of these guys that have wrestled before earlier on in the season, and opens a chance to wrestle them again here in the last dual meet of the 2024 season.
Yeah, that's got to be weird, and also affects...
Rooks in on an ankle pick, and he gets the takedown.
It's got to affect prep a lot, too. When you see these guys, obviously they're watching film, but, we talk to these coaches. These guys want to focus on themselves more than the opponent, because with the rule changes this year, everyone wants aggressive wrestling. And that's what both coaches preach to us a lot in our conferences with them. However, for Matthew Williams, he's hung in there so far, I won't lie.
So Rooks with the takedown. He gets himself up 3-0 with a minute left in period 1. Matthew Williams, 3-4 in duels this season, 1-4 in conference. He's got wins over Jeremiah McKee of Ashland. He won that one 19-4, 18-3 over Matthew McLaughlin of Davidson. He gets the escape, gets himself on the board. But he's lost 4 straight matches, and he's 0-2 versus ranked opponents. Another great attack by Rooks, and another takedown for the senior on senior day.
If you're Angel Escobedo, you want your foot on the gas if you're Graham Rooks right now.
Up by 5 at this point in time. 3 more points, it would be in major territory, and especially with the 3-point takedown, aggressive wrestling with new rule changes in the offseason. Luke, bonus points have been what has decided so many dual meets this season, not just for Indiana, not just for Chattanooga, but for everybody.
I feel like before the rule changes, riding time carried so much weight, but now it's like, if you have a good ride plus the 3-point takedown, say in a final period, that's a 4-point swing that can happen, in the snap of a fingers. And not just a 4-point swing to go from, a win to a loss by decision. How about decision to major, or maybe a tech fall in there?
Brooks gets the ride time advantage, trying to finish this period on top. Williams has to have a little sense of urgency here. Mock's got to try and get up and get the escape. Great job by Rooks, just sitting in that crab ride position, and he does finish the first period on top. He'll head into the second period up 6-1. As you get a look at Kyle Rochelle for this Chattanooga squad. In his 6th season as well, 50-46. Coached 6 SoCon champs and 18 NCAA qualifiers in his time. Was the assistant for 7 years at his alma mater, Wisconsin. When he wrestled at Wisconsin, 4-time NCAA qualifier, 2-time All-American for the Badgers. Also wrestled from 2007 to 2010. As Rooks gets the escape. Wrestled at 149 pounds, team captain his junior and senior year.
How about this about Coach Rochelle? We talked to him, he says, my wife was a Hoosier. He has a son that's nearly 2.5 years old. And they took a family picture, or at least planning on taking a family picture, at the sample gates here in Bloomington. It's been a beautiful Friday afternoon.
And he also talked to us when we interviewed him, and he said, he doesn't know where he's going to land, whether he's going to be a Mock, whether he's going to be a Hoosier, whether he's going to be a Badger. Pretty interesting to see once he gets to that high school level of sports is really a big part of his life, where he's going to land.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Rochelle is definitely going to want to take his time before, seeing his 2.5-year-old son in a singlet.
Stall warning on Williams as Rooks in again on an attack. Williams doing a good job whizzing hard to the mat. Rooks up by 6 at this point in time. Potential scramble coming up. This 149 is just so spry. See both wrestlers have an ankle there, Luke. It's who can elevate first, who can turn it around. And the stalemate is called. We reset.
I think that's a good call. They each had an ankle, like you mentioned. More on Coach Rochelle, though, Riley. I asked him, how would you grade this season? He was completely blunt with us. He said, do you want the nice answer or do you want my honest answer? I said, give me the honest one. He said, a C-. But he said, hey, we have a lot to be excited about. Injuries have plagued us.
Rooks behind Williams. Williams goes Granby roll. Rooks follows with him. Great job by Rooks. He gets another takedown, his 3rd of the match. With short time left in period 2, he's up 10-1.
Graham Rooks, we mentioned it. The most talented wrestler on this team. He's been in control the entire time. Hasn't tried to do anything too special, but capitalizes when he sees the opportunity. He's going to head into the 3rd and final period with a big advantage.
Big time job by the best pound-for-pound wrestler in a Hoosier singlet. Qualified for the NCAA last year, made it to the round of 12 with wins over Kellen March and Caleb Hansen. It's the furthest that an Indiana wrestler had gone since Nate Jackson did it and got 8th at 184 in 2017. Rooks, a 3-time NCAA qualifier, looking to finish his career out very, very strong in an Indiana singlet, Luke, and potentially get All-American status in his final year in Bloomington.
This guy has a motor like no other, Riley. I think he's going to have his foot on the gas. He's not trying to hold on to this and win by decision or major. He wants to put Williams on his back or win by tech fall.
We know he can do it. He's done it several times in his career. Williams gets the escape, and it's Rooks with the takedown on the edge. Got Williams' leg hooked up. Rooks jumps ahead now by 11. I think Rooks was looking at what Isaiah Poe did for the Mocs at 141 and saying, I raise you one, good sir.
We'll see if he can. Poe came into enemy territory, posted the tech fall, gave the Mocs the lead. Rooks, a takedown and maybe a ride time point away.
Chattanooga up 8-6. Rooks again in on the re-attack, trying to shelf the leg. He's got a limp arm out there, get his arm out of the whizzer of Williams. A minute left. And he does just that. Another takedown for Graham Rooks. And just 2 points away from getting the tech volley. Cuts Williams, so here we go. Rooks looking for one more takedown to get the tech fall. Goes straight on double. Williams trying to cut the corner, trying to stay with Rooks. Rooks gets around, gets the takedown, and he gets the tech fall for Indiana.
Tech fall for Chattanooga, tech fall for Indiana. Riley, I think we're starting to see the makings of a very good dual meet between these two cross-conference schools. These wrestlers have came to compete on Friday night in Bloomington.
5-point match for Rooks. And Indiana jumps in front 11-8 through 4 matches. Been an exciting one, so dual meet in Wilkinson, Luke.
Riley, I've seen them compete, and both coaches said, hey, we're not coming in the hottest teams in the world, and we're not coming in the healthiest teams in the world. But the one thing that we can say about our teams is we want to see more effort. He said, hey, injuries are a part of the game. Both teams realize that. That's a part of the sport. But if you're not competing, then you're never going to be successful, especially in the conference like the Big Ten if you're Indiana. But these wrestlers have put on a very good showing of effort thus far, and this is a good weight class to look out for.
157. We're underway. Number 14 ranked Brayton Lee, 5-0, the redshirt senior from Brownsburg, Indiana, going against Lincoln Heck, the junior, 7-2 on the season from West Wyoming, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, an incredible wrestling state as well as Indiana.
I would go as far as saying for Brayton Lee, he could be one of the most talented wrestlers in the country that just not too many people know about because of injuries. They've really plagued his career. Let's see what he's got on senior night.
Well, we've seen what he's capable of, certainly when he's healthy this season. He's in on an attack. And that peek through position, Heck just hanging on to his ankles, and we will go back to center mat. Brayton Lee 5-0 in duels this season. It's the only action that he's seen. 4-0 versus ranked opponents. He's got big wins over Michael North, 15-4, 4-2 win over Joey Blaze of Purdue. He goes go behind on Heck, trying to return Heck to the mat. Heck doing a good job getting away. Lee doubles off, keeps his legs in, gets the takedown. Great job by Lee. We've seen him in 5 matches this season, Luke. He's scored and won in every single way possible. He's won the close ones, won by 1 point. He's won some big-time matches. He's gotten some majors. Now, this guy can turn it on when it's necessary, and it would be such an incredible story if in his final year of collegiate wrestling, he comes back to his home state, wrestles for the home state team here in Bloomington, Indiana, and makes his way to the podium at NCAAs.
Absolutely, Riley. I was about to say the same thing. It's one of those things with Brayton Lee where the talent has never been the issue. I mean, 84-30 as a career record. He was an All-American in his time at Minnesota, qualified for 2 tournaments. At one point last year, he was ranked number 2 in the country before that season-ending injury against Ohio State.
Couple of season-ending injuries, of course, with Ohio State. Same at the Big Tens. Was 4-9 last season, wrestling at 157. Nice defense from Heck as he got the escape. 3-1 the score with a little above a minute to go in period 1 at 157. Lincoln Heck, 7-2 in duels. He's also seen only action in duels. 4-2 in conference, 4 majors, 2 techs, including an 18-0 tech fall over Eli Holiday at Presbyterian. 5-1 win over Joseph Giordano of Gardner-Webb. He's only lost his 2 matches that he's lost this season because he's 7-2. Those 2 losses have come by a combined 4 points. So even when this guy loses, it's very, very close. Guys are not dominating this guy at all. This is going to be a good one.
I was just about to mention, Riley, this is a guy who doesn't give up points. That's really the key with him. He's not going to get taken down too often. If he does, he's getting right back on his feet, and he turns into the aggressor, one of the toughest and strongest wrestlers for Coach Rochelle's squad.
Stalling called on Heck, so that prompts him to shoot in space. Lee sprawls back and defends. And that is how we will end the first period. Kind of tough to pick that one up if you're Heck, because Lee has already shown he's been the aggressor. He's gotten the takedown. Something to keep in mind as we move on later on into this match.
Oh, for sure. With these two guys, it's going to stay low scoring. It's going to have to get gritty. I think the tougher guy with the more endurance come the third period, because if you ask me right now, this one very well goes the distance. I don't see bonus points. Put it that way.
Brayton Lee did not wrestle versus Northwestern. For Indiana, it was Zach Rotkovich that went out for the Hoosiers. Wrestled against Trevor Chumley, and it was Chumley that did get that pin at 157. That was ultimately the difference maker in the match that pushed Northwestern over the edge. But even with that, Luke, a couple close losses at 184, 197. Really, for me, that was the difference maker. Those were the matches that Indiana needed to win to get over the hump versus Northwestern.
Yeah, Coach Escobedo, though, went as far as saying he thought the lighter weights going down 7-0 to start.
Oh, wow. They just hit Heck for stalling again. So give Lee a point. Go ahead, good sir.
A little bit of a weird point there, I won't lie.
Yeah.
However, to my point, Escobedo was really hard on those lighter weights. So it's an interesting point that you mentioned there, the heavier ones that kind of cost them, losing by fall in such a tight matchup up there with not obviously the heaviest of the weights, but in the, higher half. Or say we have a one leg going right now.
Heck on a snatch single trying to finish. Lee Pogo sticking around the mat. Using those heavy hips. Go out of bounds. Great defense by Lee. Heck in on deep and on attack. Something you can build upon as you get further on into this matchup. But Lee, great job on the defensive end.
Mentioned Heck doesn't give up too many points. Dual scoring this year. Of course, he's 7-2, but he's only given up 6 points to the 29 that he's scored. That's where his success has been on the defensive end. Let's see if he tries to make a move, get up by maybe 1, and then go defense mode for the final 3 minutes. Lee in on the single leg.
Lee on the single leg, doubles off and returns him to the mat for the takedown. Brayton Lee again. Explosive and dynamic at 157.
That's what Brayton Lee's going to do to you, Riley. Right as you think, hey, Heck, he should make the move here. Brayton Lee's, no, I'm talented. I'm the more aggressive wrestler here. Let me go up by 5 and now get some riding time up on top.
Coming up on a minute of riding time. He's 19 seconds away from doing just that. Trying to finish the period on top. 30 seconds left. Period 2, 157. Lee 7, Heck 2. If you're just joining us, it was a electric start for the Hoosiers with a Blaine Frazier pin at 125. It was Chattanooga that responded with a 9-8 decision from one of their guys, Blake Borman, one of their main guys. Isaiah Poe made it 2 straight for the Mocs. He won an 18-0 tech fall over Cole Rimrev. And then Graham Rooks responded with a tech fall of his own, 19-4 over Matthew Williams. Lee stays on top for just that 1 minute, but it is Heck that's able to get away. That's a critical escape for the Mock. Short time left in period 2.
Absolutely. Now they start neutral, and Lee's the aggressor.
Oh, man, Lee tried to go behind there. Heck doing a great job neutralizing Lee, holding onto that leg. Front headlock position. Lee's got a chance here. 2 seconds left. No takedown. But, man, did he want it so bad. Wow, they did award him the takedown. The other official came in, they talked it over, and a big takedown for the Minnesota transfer.
I'm shocked. We've seen a lot. That's the third questionable end of the period buzzer beater-esque call, and obviously Coach Rochelle missed with his brick earlier on, and now it's the Hoosiers getting another call, and Lee's up 7 on Heck, who just doesn't give up double-digit points too often.
Yeah. And we can kind of see why right here. He's kind of doing a pretty solid job on top. Very solid in that top position. He burned the riding time advantage away from Lee, but it is still an 8-point match at this point in time.
If you're Lincoln Heck, it's go time. You got to make a move and get yourself back into this bout.
He has been in on an attack a couple times. He just hasn't been able to finish. Lee, good level change as we dance around back to center mat.
Brayton Lee just continues to prove every time he sees the mat how talented he is.
Lee single leg, shelves it, collects the other leg, and gets the takedown again. 4 takedowns for Brayton Lee in this one. And he's up 14-3.
He also now has a minute of riding time advantage. And in a bout that looked like it was easily going to be a decision, Brayton Lee's currently holding on to the major right now. And knowing him, he could be looking for, a sneaky tech fall in the final 43 seconds.
He's up by 11 points right now. 12 with the riding time. Got the near leg hooked of Heck. Let's Heck go. 10-point match. 30 seconds left.
Riley, I think Heck's wrestled pretty well. Lee's he's got his best stuff today. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and he's definitely been able to rest. He's not seen action in tournaments, only action in duels. Lee still active. Shot fakes, drives through the blast double and gets another one. He is looking for the tech fall, Luke. Cuts him again.
Oh, wow. The motor on this guy is unbelievable.
1-point escape for Heck. 5 seconds left. And how about this showing for Brayton Lee in his final dual meet in an Indiana singlet back in his home state? He gets a 19-5 win over Chattanooga's Lincoln Heck. And here's the standing ovation for everybody in Wilkinson Hall.
You can tell that everybody, his teammates, the coaching staff, and of course this crowd, they love Brayton Lee. And for